Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. I know it has been a while and I'm really sorry, but I am finally out of school and finally have some free time to actually make content. So I'm back with a video I probably should have made a while ago, but better late than never. So for this video, we are finally going to be reviewing Christopher Paolini's latest book, Murtagh. Just a little bit of a heads up, this video is going to contain spoilers for Murtagh, so if you haven't read it, feel free to leave the video and maybe go watch something else, but come back after you've read the book. So for anyone who is new for the channel and does not know how these reviews work, it is going to be broken down into 4 sections. Summary of the story, what I think worked, what I think didn't quite work, and my final thoughts and rating of the book. Alright, with all that out of the way, let's get into it. So the book starts off about a year after Inheritance. Murtagh and Thorn are trying to live a nomad lifestyle, kind of figure out their place in the world, and just try and live their own lives. That isn't until they start hearing rumors about a land that smells of brimstone and is covered in blackstone, and they remember Umaroth warned them about this place and to stay away. But curiosity gets the better of them, and they start looking into it. But pretty soon they realize why they should have listened to Umaroth when they start investigating and they discover Bishel and a group of her acolytes. Bishel and her acolytes turn out to be very, very dangerous and a force to be reckoned with that even the riders and Galbatorix feared to mess with. So the two of them must work together to escape Bishel and her acolytes and to warn Arya, Eragon, and Nasawada about the upcoming threat. Alright, so jumping into what I think worked about the book. I loved how Murtagh was characterized in this book because this is the first book where we finally get to see Murtagh as a fully realized character, because in the other books he kind of got the shaft and he never had any sort of big moments aside from when he was interacting with Nasawada during the whole Soothsayer Cave thing. But other than that, he never really had much to do, but now he's finally front and center in the spotlight, and I'm really happy that Christopher Paolini gave us the chance to see Murtagh as the character we always wanted to see him from the jump. So the major character arc of this book is to learn to let go of his past, because when Murtagh meets Bishel puts him under a spell and controls him, and Murtagh's entire purpose in this book is to break out of that spell, because it is basically the same type of relationship he had with Galbatorix, and this entire book is basically Murtagh just pushing past his trauma that he's dealt with and to learn to become a better person that can make his own choices. The culmination of this entire arc is when Murtagh uses the name of the ancient language to rename Zarok into Ithrin, which means freedom. And that happens in the chapter, fittingly enough, called Freedom from Misery. Which I think that is maybe the highlight of Murtagh's entire arc, is when he finally realizes that he is his own man and that his past with his father and Galbatorix doesn't define him. He metaphorically and literally casts off the shadow of his father when he renames his dad's sword and redefines the sword's legacy as his own. And I just think that is a brilliant moment. I want to see more of this version of Murtagh going forward in whatever Christopher Paolini has planned. And I just gotta talk about this real quick. I think Christopher Paolini has really struck gold with his comedy. Murtagh and Thorn have some really fun back and forths. It's just great to see the two of them finally out of the clutches of Galbatorix and being able to find their own personalities outside of whatever he allowed them to be. So another thing that this book does very well is set up the next threat for the land of Alagasia. And this new threat is twofold. It mainly comes in the form of Bishel and her acolytes who serve Bishel and believe that she is some sort of all-seeing prophet sort of thing. It's clear from the book that she's going to be the next major threat that Alagasia has to face, but she's not alone. Her followers follow this creature that they call Aslagor. When Murtagh is trying to escape now Gorgoth, we get a very quick glimpse of it, and we're never given a physical description, not really. From what we understand, it's some ancient being that's living under Alagasia. So one of the things that this book does really well is push Murtagh to be more conscious of how he uses magic. Because Bashel and her acolytes have a way to counteract the name of the ancient language. And with that, Murtagh's biggest trump card is effectively useless. And now Murtagh has to think on his feet on how he can use magic more effectively to bypass their wards. And I love this part of the book because now Murtagh is forced to think on how he can use magic more effectively to face a threat without solely relying on the name of the ancient language. And I just think that's really good world building and character development. So there is a caveat to this, which I will get to in my didn't work section. So this might be a little bit of a controversy to some people who have read this book. I've seen reviews where people don't love the pacing of the Now Gorgoth section, which is basically the majority of the book. I've seen some people say it moves a little slow. I can understand why you would think that, but for me personally, the way Now Gorgoth is laid out, we're getting so much information and character development for Murtagh that I think I can excuse kind of the length of Now Gorgoth. Because unlike, say, the dwarf politics section in Brissinger, the stuff in Now Gorgoth is important because it's set up going forward, whereas the dwarf politics thing, it's really not important to the overall story. So again, I can understand why people might think Now Gorgoth is a little longer than it needs to be, but I think it justifies the length because it's going to be important later on. Alright, so jumping into the section of what didn't work. So I talked about this earlier. The problem with Bashel, I think, is that Paulini doesn't explain a lot about how Bashel knows how to nullify the name of the ancient language. Now, this is a big thing because we set up the whole name of the ancient language thing for 2 books, and it was Galbatorix's trump card against Eragon and everyone at the end of Inheritance. Now that we know that it can be countered, it kind of undercuts it looking back. Because I think if Paulini had taken just literally a line or two to explain how Bashel was able to do that, and even if it was just as vague as the Lord gave me this magic to counteract the name of the ancient language, I could understand that. But the problem is he doesn't really give us anything like that. And the only explanation we're given for how they're able to do this magic is in the chapter The Tower of Flint. Murtagh goes searching around for answers and he finds this giant tower that's filled with birds, which are the same birds that Bashel and her acolytes make their amulets out of. And that's basically the only explanation we get as far as how they're able to bypass the name of the ancient language. I think the book kind of suffers because of this lack of explanation, and if we'd just gotten a slight line, I think it would have been fine. Alright everyone, final thoughts and ranking of the book here. Overall, I think this was an awesome setup book. It gave me exactly what I wanted from a Murtagh standalone book. Murtagh breaking free from his past and his trauma and learning to be his own man, and pushing past all of that, as well as setting up the new major threat with Aslegor and Bashel. And honestly, the ending of this book sets up perfectly for whatever he's got planned for the next major book, which hopefully we get some sort of announcement soon. I want to be excited for what's going to happen next for the world of Algasia, but overall, I am super happy with how Murtagh came out. So I'm going to be giving Murtagh 5 out of 5 stars. Alright everyone, thank you guys for checking out the video. If you guys liked it, please do not forget, like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification button so you do not miss a video. If you guys have any book recommendations you want me to check out and review in the future, please leave those down in the comments. Also, if you guys have read Murtagh and have your own thoughts on the book, please feel free to leave those down in the comments, but try and keep it spoiler free for anyone who hasn't read the book. If you guys want to follow me on social media, you can check out my Instagram and TikTok, which are both RM Book Reviews. I will see you guys next video. Till then, have a great week, and don't forget, keep on reading.